This is awkward occurrence for awkward entertainment. So I'm going to be getting into the Gabby Petito timeline. I'm going to play this video and I will commentate throughout. So we start on July 2nd when Miss Petito and Mr. Laundrie left Gabby Petito's parents' house in New York. They either left their parents' house or they left a hotel from New York to start their adventure. August 12th, Mr. Laundrie and Miss Petito were arguing outside of a Moab Moonflower grocery store. In reports, Miss Petito was said to hit Laundrie first. Laundrie pushed her. Well, he put his hand on her face to keep her quiet. I guess she was arguing. He then went to the car, locked the doors. His window was rolled down. Miss Petito tried to get in through the window. I believe she successfully got in through the window. The article never stated if she successfully got in through the window or if Laundrie opened the doors, but she ended up in the car anyway. They pull off. They were stopped by the police. They were separated for the night. August 17th, Mr. Laundrie flies home to close out a storage unit. It's said he wanted to save money because they wanted to extend their trip past the 4 months they had scheduled at 4. They were only 2 months in. Well, a little over a month in at this point. But let's continue. I really don't think Mr. Laundrie had money problems. I mean, his parents, people are claiming, Rose Davis is claiming Laundrie parents paid for his condo, or was paying for his condo him and Gabby Petito stayed in. So why would he go home to close out a storage unit if he needed extra cash? I'm pretty sure his parents would have lent him some extra cash for their adventure. Let's continue. August 25th, Miss Petito made a post to her account for the last time. And she also speaks to her mother for the last time on August 25th. But that's not the last time she's seen. Before then, on 23rd, Brian returns to Salt Lake City from Florida. Him and Petito leave Salt Lake City Hotel, which I believe they say she was in a hotel. Now, this was at an ice cream shop, either on August 25th or 26th. This is just what a witness named Sonny Mason, Mr. Mason, son of God, Mason, son, Mason. This is what a witness claimed he saw. He says Mr. Laundrie encouraged Gabby Petito to say they were married or engaged. He thought the encounter was odd. So he doesn't remember if it was the 25th or 26th, but again on the 25th, this was the last post. That was the day Miss Petito made the last post to her social media and the last time she talked to her mom. So again, he doesn't know if it's the 25th or 26th. On the 27th, Mr. Laundrie and Petito are in Wyoming. They stopped by a Jackson Hole restaurant called the Merry Piglets. An altercation happened. Laundrie came in and out of the restaurant 3 or 4 times. Miss Petito was crying. She apologized to the staff on behalf of Laundrie and I guess both of themselves, on behalf of both of them, I guess. There's not too much detail coming out about that incident. Just that Mr. Laundrie seemed like he was enraged, which paints him as a volatile person, which paints him as a suspect in her murder. Even though he was the last one to be seen with her, technically he was the last one to be seen with her. There's no cameras at Spread Creek campsite. There's no cameras to say there was someone else with her. So let's continue. Let me see if there's anything else to this. yeah, September 1st, Mr. Laundrie returned to Florida. Let's continue. This is Nina Angelo. This is her talking about what she saw at the Piglet restaurant in Jackson Hole. That's the last time Miss Laundrie, well, not Miss Laundrie, they weren't married. That's the last time Miss Petito was seen alive. As of right now, August 27th, at that restaurant, it's the last time she's seen alive. We don't know if police have more video of Petito in the area between Jackson Hole and Spread Creek. So the 27th, she didn't call her parents. The 26th, she didn't call her parents. I don't know when she FaceTimed her dad, but the last connection she had with her parents was her mom on the 25th. Also, the 27th, she sent a text talking about Stan, her grandfather, and some voicemails. People speculate when she said Stan, it meant send the police now. The acronym, send the police now, Stan. But Stan isn't the acronym for send the police now. Stan is STAN. Send the police now is STPN. I don't get why mainstream media wrote with that. They wrote with that. They did a couple articles about that. And that's not the same as send the police now. Let's continue. Maybe she did send that text on the 27th. Why would Mr. Laundrie send that text? That's a silly text to send. It really is. You talk about the grandfather Stan. Instead of texting on the 27th, hey, this is Gabby. I'm okay. We're headed to Yellowstone. I'll call you when I get there. Something of that nature. Instead of sending a picture that she recently took to make the parents think she's okay, you send a text saying, because you check on Stan, I keep getting a bunch of emails or voice messages from him. That's a strange text to send if you're trying to cover up a crime. Keep people out of the loop of what's really going on. All right, the Mary Piglet's Mexican Grill is an hour and 15 minutes away from Spread Creek Camping Ground. 46.3 miles. So people speculate the 27th is the day she died. I don't believe that. Let me get into why I don't believe that. There's another reason I put this clip in here. But yeah, they left that restaurant. After they left that restaurant, not heated, they drove an hour and 15 minutes. But again, in between, because 46 miles is a long way. In between Jackson Hole and Spread Creek, you could maybe see Gabby Petito on camera somewhere else on the 27th or the 28th. Maybe. That's a lot of area to cover to not be seen, to be honest. All right. This gets into the 29th when Brian Laundrie was hitchhiking. So on the 29th, Brian Laundrie left the Spread Creek area, camping area, and he went hitchhiking over 3 miles. It was over 3 miles. One person saw him at 5:30. He didn't go with that person because they weren't going where he wanted. Another person saw him at 6:30, and he rode with that person. So this tells me he walked over 3 miles. I also speculate Gabby Petito may have left him 3 to 5 miles away from the campsite. So on the 29th, they could have went somewhere about 6 miles away. She was in a car and she left him. She just got tired of him. So he had to hitchhike back to the campsite. Now, did he call her while he was hiking back? That's how he knew where to go. That's how he knew where to locate the van. Now, this person says Mr. Laundrie was acting awkward and confused. awkward and confused. Was he confused because he didn't know exactly where to go in Sprague Creek? Was he confused because he was on drugs? Was he acting awkward because he had murdered his girlfriend? And for some odd reason, he was going back to the crime scene. So I don't believe he murdered Gabby Petito on August 27th. Because that means he stayed out there with the body for 2 days. Like, for 2 days. Because he left the 29th. He left the night of the 29th or early morning the 30th. More than likely, he left the 29th when he returned to the campsite. Because he got to Florida on the 1st of September. So let's say if Mr. Laundrie did commit this murder. Did he murder Miss Petito in Sprague Creek inside the van, took her body out the van, walked over to the spot where she was found. Then he went for a hike. He went for like a 3-5 mile hike. Like, where was he going to go when he went hiking for over an hour? Then he decided to come back to the crime scene, hitchhike back to the crime scene, take the van, take some of her stuff. He took her credit card. Supposedly, he took her credit card and used her credit card. And he went home. You know, took the 2-day, 31, took the 3-day trip back home. Again, why would you go back to the crime scene? If he wasn't going back to a crime scene, was she alive when he went hiking? That's if he went hiking, or that's if she just left from somewhere and he had to hike back. This don't make sense. This don't make sense. But was he going to kill himself? That's why he went hiking after he killed, supposedly. After he killed her, he left to go hiking. I mean, he decided to kill himself, then decided not to. So I'm going to go back to the van, take the van, drive back home. But I believe Miss Petito was killed on the 29th. Let's continue. Now, if it seems like I'm rambling, it's because I'm trying to understand, put together in my head how this would go, how this story would go in real life, if I'm seeing it myself from a third-person point of view. Like if I'm a fly on a wall or a fly on a tree, how would I see this? This talks about fingerprints on Gabby Petito's body. It's possible there may be fingerprints around her neck, because they say she was strangled. I don't know how they will lift fingerprints. Her body was out there for 3 weeks. Maybe her body was still in good enough condition where you can get fingerprints off of it. That's if the suspect wasn't wearing gloves. If he wasn't wearing gloves, you can get fingerprints off of it. Off of her neck. If the body isn't too badly decomposed, you can get fingerprints off her neck. If it didn't rain for a couple days, you can get fingerprints off her neck. Other conditions like that. But he hasn't been charged as of right now. Don't know if he's going to be charged. This is just not a more detailed timeline, but just another timeline of events I saw. Made her last post on the 25th. Last time she talked to her mom was the 25th. The final time people believe she was alive was the 27th at that restaurant. There could be more footage of her out there on the 28th, maybe the 29th. But she didn't call her parents. She didn't call her parents on the 26th, the 27th, the 28th, 29th. Even though she sent that text on the 27th. Mr. Laundrie left for home on the 29th. Let's get into this. So it would take 35 or 36 hours to go from Wyoming to Northport, Florida. So from Sprague Creek to where his parents' house was in Florida, it would be a 35 to 36 hour drive. He would have to leave at least the night of the 29th, drive 6 hours, rest for a little bit, drive 6 more hours. So that would 29th, the night, going into the morning of the 30th, driving in the afternoon of the 30th, then 31st, then the 1st. Let's say he got to Florida after maybe 5 p.m. But at least 12 hours. 12 hours. One of those days he may drove 18 hours, but it's over 12 hours a day driving. So he arrived back at Spread Creek after 5:30 p.m., I believe. If she was dead that day, which she was dead that day. Again, he drove that day maybe 6 hours, and I'm just calculating when he left Spread Creek to when he arrived in Florida. So let's continue. Let's get into Mr. Rose Davis, Miss Rose Davis for a second. Miss Davis said Brian was jealous, had control issues, even stole Gabby ID once. I talked about that to keep her from dancing. So the jealousy part was one time Rose Davis recalled an event when Gabby was at her house. Mr. Laundrie wanted her to come home, Gabby. Rose said, I would bring her home. Brian Laundrie said, no, I'm going to come to pick her up. That's one example of his jealousy. Miss Petito did have a tracking app on her phone between her and Rose Davis. They wanted to keep up with each other in case they ever got lost. Laundrie wanted that tracking app off the phone. I guess. I don't know why he wanted it off the phone, but I guess. You can still track a phone without a tracking app. Let's continue. Without a third party tracking app that you download from Google Play or iPhone Store. This talks about him stealing the ID so she wouldn't go dancing. Also, Gabby stayed at Rose Davis' house a bunch of times because she didn't want to deal with Mr. Laundrie. Let's get into why I put this in here. Now, we get into why I put this in here. Now, Rose Davis tried to talk Gabby out of her marriage with Brian Laundrie. Now, this is what Rose said. Gabby told her mother she put off her engagement, but according to Rose, they were still looking to get married. Rose told Gabby, I told her you're young and Brian is a little controlling for her, but I also told her to do what makes her happy. I was there to support her, Miss Rose Davis says. Now, the reason I bring this up is in New York, when Gabby and Laundrie left New York for their trip, I believe that's when they called off their marriage and said they were too young because maybe Gabby Petito's parents told her, you should call this off, you're too young. Here it states that may have ticked Brian Laundrie off. So earlier we read Mr. Laundrie told Gabby to tell people they were engaged while on this trip. That would be at the ice cream shop, the 25th or the 26th. They were at that ice cream shop. Mr. Laundrie encouraged Miss Petito to tell someone at the shop they were engaged, even though they had called the engagement off, according to Miss Petito. But here, Rose says, even though Miss Petito told her mom they called off their engagement, they were still planning to get married. So that makes me think Petito parents had something to do with influencing Gabby to call off her marriage. And that may be a reason, if Mr. Laundrie did kill his girlfriend, that may be a reason he did it. Might not be the main reason, but that's a reason. That may be the straw that broke the camel's back. That may have contributed contributed to his attitude towards Gabby Petito. Now, he wanted to get married. She didn't. The parents didn't want them to get married. Although here we read they still wanted to get married even though the parents didn't know. But let's continue. Let me not talk in circles. All right, that's about it, people. That's about it for this video. Mr. Laundrie went hiking on the 29th. He returned to the Spread Creek camping site. He was dropped off maybe a mile away from where the van was. Why would he return to the scene of a crime? Miss Petito hadn't talked to her parents since the 27th. Was it the 27th? 26th maybe when she talked to her parents last. 27th, she was at that restaurant and everything got out of control with Mr. Laundrie. And he came in and out the restaurant 4 times. That makes him seem like a psychopath. My thing is, why she didn't call her parents on the 27th when all that happened at the restaurant? And I think that's the same date. So supposedly she sent a text about Stan. Then the 29th, Laundrie is hiking back to the campsite. Why would you stay with a dead body? She was killed on the 27th because the parents don't believe she sent that text on the 27th. And she was killed that day. Why is he with a dead body for 2 days? Over 2 days. That's kind of sick. You just there with the dead body. You didn't leave. You didn't leave to the night of the 29th. That's why I say she was killed on the 29th. And was she killed by someone else? Because why go back to the scene of the crime? Unless she left Mr. Laundrie somewhere. He had to hike back to the site. He was mad. He killed her that night, and he left that night. He used a credit card on the 30th, allegedly, September 30th. That's when he used her credit card for $1,000 to buy stuff. Why in the world would you spend $1,000 on the 30th? $1,000, really? Really? All right, let me end this. I ain't gonna ramble too much. I'm still trying to figure out how the police know it was Laundrie who used the credit card. Maybe they got him on video. Well, his parents was paying for the condo, so that they could have wired him some money if he really needed money. They could have wired him a couple $100. He ain't have to steal the credit card. That's if he stole it. But unlikely he did steal it if the police are saying so. I haven't seen that evidence, but I'm talking in circles. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This has been Awkward Occurrence, Awkward Entertainment, and I will see you in the next video.